Welcome to M&A Mondays, the UK's first YouTube series dedicated to all things M&A. From interviews with the leading figures in the industry, to coffee chats with analysts, diversity panels, all the way through to workshops, we'll be covering it all. We do hope you enjoyed the video, and please give us a like and a follow on our social media. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of M&A Mondays, the UK's first YouTube series dedicated to all things M&A. My name is Nikola, and I'm the head of speaker relations at the group, and today I'm joined by Emerald, our speaker relations executive.
Today we're delighted to welcome Rita Lei for our M&A Monday series. Rita is a managing director at Torch Partners, a firm providing strategic investment banking services to growth-oriented sectors. Before that, Rita used to work as a senior analyst at Cambridge Consultants. She has a bachelor's degree in natural sciences from University of Cambridge and then a PhD from the Sainsbury Laboratory. Rita is extremely experienced in the industry and has executed numerous transactions over the 11 years she has been in Torch Partners. And we're very happy to have her here today. So without further ado, let's get started. How are you, Rita?
Good. Well, great to speak with you both. And thanks for the kind intro as well.
Yeah, and as Emerald mentioned earlier, you had a natural science degree and went on studying for a PhD for 4 years. Now, could you tell us what made you change and start pursuing a career in finance? And just to expand on that, why consulting before going into investment banking?
Yeah, good question. I actually often get asked this question because I have a slightly unusual, background, right, versus most people, most bankers. So I think throughout my studies, I've always wanted to just do what I enjoy. I think, I very much enjoyed doing my natural sciences degree, and I focused on plant sciences, as it turns out. I then went on to do a PhD because I thought that's kind of quite cool because, when you're doing research, you're looking at things that no one else would know. You are the only person, well, kind of in your very own narrow niche, studying that particular problem. I think I've always enjoyed what I wanted to do. I think the reason why I, went into consulting was that I won a business competition when I was doing a PhD with a fellow PhD student. And then at that time, I thought, actually, maybe it's actually quite interesting to explore other paths, because up until that point, I haven't really thought about anything outside science. So maybe unlike most of the the audience who's looking at this video, I did not plan out to be a banker when I was doing my degree. But after winning that business competition, I had people throwing money at us, me and my partner saying, do you want to continue running the business, file patents, do all of that? But we decided that we wanted to do something differently. So I went into consulting. And then when I was doing consulting, I thought, actually, I quite like to be at the center of where the action is. So we did quite a lot of due diligence for transactions, but then you kind of present something to the board. You're not quite at the center of, as I said, where the action is. And that's really why I went into investment banking. So I would say not completely planned out, but so far so good.
And now, just to follow up on that, what made you decide to actually join Torch Partners, and what has kept you in the firm for so long?
Yeah, thanks, Nikola. I think when I was looking into going into investment banking, I thought about, healthcare, health tech, kind of med tech, which would utilize my background, or tech banking, like Torch. So a little bit of background as well. So Torch is an independent tech-focused investment bank. We only do tech. We're not a generalist. I think the reason why I decided to go into Torch was ultimately the people that I met. I think at the time the firm was quite small. We had 10 people or so. I was probably employee number 11 or 12. We've now grown to about north of 45 now. So the decision was really made based on the people that I've met at the time. So I met with founder Rupert Robson, who's now the chairman, and other colleagues. I thought they are all, pretty smart people, and I wanted to be in a place whereby I'm surrounded by smart people, and get on the learning curve. I think it's really a fit between the people that I met. I thought what they were doing was quite interesting as well. I think at the time they were working with Just Eat. So, fast forward kind of 10, 11 years later, I think Just Eat, you may not even consider Just Eat as a tech company these days, but 10, even 11 years ago, how do people order takeaway? Telephone. So things have changed loads in the last 10 years. And you also asked kind of what is it that kept me in the firm? I think is, for me, again, is really the people that that I've been working with. We have quite a strong culture. We, at the end of the day, we are a relatively small firm. Although if you talk about being a tech specialist, we are of decent size, I would say. I think we have quite a strong culture. It's very collegiate. We're all there, to make sure that we can do the best we can for the firm and for the client. I think investment banking involves long hours. You need to enjoy working with the people at the end of the day.
Thank you for your answer. That makes lots of sense. And when you were talking about your team just now, so just to follow up on that, how is it working as the only woman in the leadership team at Torch Partners, and especially as the only one with BAME background? And what has Torch Partners done to help you with making you feel more comfortable in this working environment?
Yeah, thanks, Emerald. I think this is probably a topic that's quite close to my heart. I always feel like, there should be more women in banking. I think particularly at the more senior roles, because when you see the pyramid, it's often the proportion is smaller at the more senior level. I think to your question about what it's like, I never actually feel any different personally to, I guess another, to the other MDs per se. I think I'll say I've been lucky enough to, to not feel any different, and therefore I don't do any different. I think, I don't know if it's because of my background, so a little bit more personal stuff. So I actually went to a boys' school that has girls in the sixth form. So maybe I'm more used to that kind of slightly male-dominated environment. Yeah, I think it's a good question. But I think at the end of the day, I think we should all be encouraging more women to go into investment banking. I think, as you say, I'm the only woman in the leadership team. So it's kind of 10, 15%, at the firm. That said, even within Torch, we're definitely trying to encourage more women to join the firm, right? So I think the proportion of women is still underrepresented right now. So we have, other than myself, in the front office, we have 3 other women. Still a small number, but it's something that we should definitely try to do. And I think by, I guess, by continuing to be in the industry itself, I'm hoping that I can show others that anything is possible, and don't feel limited by, in fact, not just gender, by anything. I always say that investment banking is, it is not rocket science. If anything, it's easier than doing a PhD. So if people have the passion and interest to do it, I'm sure they can.
Thank you. And we actually just finished our Diversity and Inclusion Week, and we keep on seeing very more awareness amongst people. And I do have hope that there will be more women out and people with BAME background in this industry. So the next question is, out of all the transactions that you have advised on, are there any particular ones that stood out to you? And can you tell us a bit more about them?
Yeah, sure. So I focus on consumer internet within the firm. I guess maybe I'll tell you 2 transactions. One is a company called Secret Escapes. So I worked with them when I was an analyst or associate. So we helped them raise that series, I want to say series A round. But I think what I found interesting was that we then went on to do more transactions with them. I think I enjoyed the ownership aspect. So, you know, I worked with them when they were relatively small, and then we raised another, I don't know, you know, you call it 100 million or so in subsequent rounds. And even today, you know, I'm still in touch with the, you know, with the team. I think that's something that I enjoyed. I guess it's really developing the relationship with the client over a long period of time. And the other transaction that is interesting is a recent deal that I've done, and it's called Everly. And Everly is the European Instacart equivalent. Basically, we raised $100 million for them. I think I went to pitch in person. Some of my colleagues went to Milan to do one or two face-to-face, but most of the deal, well, a huge part of the deal was done remotely. So I think that's really a reflection of how we're doing deals these days during COVID. Because the question mark remains on what it will be like, you know, as we're coming out of the lockdown.
Definitely, thank you on that. And now just to expand a bit more for the sector questions, how has consumer internet been impacted by COVID-19 over the past year? And what is your future outlook for this sector?
Yeah, I think lots of interesting things are happening, right? So I just mentioned Everly, so that's in the grocery delivery space. I think consumer behavior has definitely changed to becoming more online for sure. I personally, I see it as an acceleration as opposed to a one-off change in behavior. You know, if you can buy your grocery, order your grocery delivered to your door once a week, why would you bother going into the shop? You know, you may go to the corner shop and buy little things every now and then, but you know, isn't it much easier to do your, you know, your grocery shop online and have it delivered? So I think that's quite a lot of acceleration in terms of the shift from offline to online, not just on, you know, grocery, I guess, on many other things as well, such as education. I guess, you know, you guys may not know about childcare just yet, but I think, you know, during COVID times, I think when I do a lot of Zoom meetings, you can hear children on the background, and it's becoming acceptable these days anyway. But clearly there is an issue about childcare. So online education has been the trend to adopt online education, even outside of the school, has changed a lot. I think in terms of future outlook, I think we're going to see more and more things being done online as, you know, as the norm, I believe. And it's not just, you know, it's not just food, it's not just e-commerce. I think it's pretty much everything. I guess another deal that I worked on is a business called Go Henry. So that's the, think about it as, you know, digital pocket money for kids. These days, if you ask a child aged, I don't know, 10 to 12, call it 10 to 12, do they know what cash is? I don't know. We haven't used cash for the last 18 months. You know, everything will go online. It's about, you know, online payment. And if you give them pocket money, like they don't know what to do with cash. They would rather go to, I don't know, Amazon or go online and buy a game. So, you know, there will be quite a lot of different behavior, but overall, certainly huge adoption for online, you know, across many different sectors for sure.
Thank you very much for sharing your experience and insight. And our final question for you is, what advice would you give to students who are currently studying for a degree that is not relevant to finance, but still want to pursue a career in investment banking? And how should they work towards this goal? Thank you.
Yeah, I will say that, you know, if you're doing a degree that's not finance or related to finance, I think it's definitely worth exploring, you know, internships or kind of spring days or, you know, any kind of work experience that will give you exposure to banking. I think that's a good idea. Increasingly, you know, if your degree is in a, say for example, in a technical subject or in languages, if it's in a technical subject, actually, it could also be quite relevant in investment banking as well, because, you could apply your knowledge in a particular area. Say if it's AI onto, I don't know, equity research or something different within investment banking. So that's also the application of technical knowledge within investment banking, because for even within IB, that's quite a lot of different different segments, right? I do M&A and I help companies raise funds, but there are lots of different things such as equity research and other things that will require different knowledge. So I would say that technical knowledge might be helpful as well. Languages could be helpful as well, as it turns out. In terms of working towards the goal, as I said, I think any kind of experience will be good. I think these days even internships are very competitive. I totally understand it. But if you can demonstrate your passion and can demonstrate that in your spare time you're doing everything that that you are in touch with interesting transactions, and think about how you think about those transactions and where the trends are going, that will help you get there as well. I think the usual kind of exposure to to what's going on, FT, Wall Street Journal, the classic, that will also kind of help you get into the ecosystem as well, as and when you talk to people. Maybe just one final word, I guess, perseverance. Do whatever you can to even just put one foot into the industry is a great way to start.
Thank you so much. And thank you very much, Rita, for joining us today and helping us with this initiative, and for your brilliant answers. And our audiences will definitely benefit greatly from your insights and be inspired to see more female bankers like you. And for our viewers, please do consider subscribing and liking this video, and for many more insightful interviews in the future. Thank you.